So yeah, a rather different and very new video for me that I'm making, a power rankings video. Now, I'm not gonna do all 32 teams on this video. I'm just gonna do my top seven, and even there, like I'm just gonna say, don't expect me to do a video like this every week, just because of how exhausting that it can be, trying to think of who's better than who's below who, and all that. But for the first time ever, I am actually making an NFL power rankings video. So, anyways, number seven, I got the New York Jets. So, after what we saw from the Packers and what from like overall in the last 2 to 3 weeks with the Jets, I mean, it's like ever since they beat us back in week 4 when we put in Kenny Pickett in the NFL for the first time. I mean, like it's as if a fire has been lit under this team. They've been playing really good defense. They run the ball well. I mean, it's not like Zach Wilson's doing anything crazy, but he's doing just enough to help the Jets win. And in this game against the Packers, where they surprisingly kicked their ass, I mean, they had both a blocked field goal and a blocked punt, which the blocked punt was obviously returned for a touchdown. Like, what we see in this Jets team, like what I see in this Jets team is a sense of urgency. They play like a team that wants to win. It's like whistle to whistle too. In their last two games, they have played like they want it more than anything. And I'm pretty sure that's what every fan wants out of their team. It's as if the New York Jets have literally turned on the Jets. But for real, like, this team is playing pretty good football right now, and they have been one of the biggest surprises of this season. 4-2, second place in the AFC East. Now, no, they're not going to win the division, but if they keep this up, they very well could make the playoffs. And of course, I mean, it literally feels like forever since we've seen a good Jets team. And in the 2022 New York Jets, they just might be it. They just might make the playoffs for the first time in over a decade. And I believe the last time they did make the playoffs was 2010 with Mark Sanchez, when they got to the AFC Championship game where they fell up just short against us. But yeah, I like what they're doing right now. I mean, they're starting to gel really well as a team, and who knows what the future could hold for them. And now, moving on to number 6, I got the Dallas Cowboys. And well, after Sunday night against the Eagles, it was pretty evident that the Cowboys were, after the bad Week 1 loss to the Buccaneers, the reason they won those games after that was because of their defense. And yeah, Cooper Rush went on a nice short-lived undefeated run as a starting quarterback, but of course it came to an end in pretty pathetic fashion against the Eagles, with him throwing 3 interceptions. And hey, I mean, Cooper Rush, he is who we thought he was. And now I'm starting to think that the Cowboys may have won 4 games in a row despite him. And I think it just might be time for Dak Prescott to come back. Because at first, I even thought that the Cowboys were better off without Dak Prescott, who in my opinion is the most overrated quarterback in football right now. At least one of the top 3 most overrated quarterbacks in football. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think he still gives the Cowboys the best chances to win as far as their quarterback situation goes. And Cooper Rush was just getting lucky, and teams didn't know much about him. But now I think the league is going to start to catch up to him, and eventually Dallas will have to hope for Dak Prescott to get back in there soon. Now, do I think those Cowboys are still a good team right now? Yes. And that's mainly because of their defense, which is have been playing like one of the best of football right now. It's just that they ran into an even better team in Philly, who I'm going to get to later on this list. So, but yeah. Now obviously if the Cowboys make the playoffs, we all know what's going to happen. They're going to choke it like they always do, like they've been doing since 1996. Because why else has this team won just 3 playoff games over the last 2 3/4 decades? And if you're wondering why I'm showing this fight right here, I mean, it pretty much summons Eagles and Cowboys in a nutshell. Because obviously the two teams, they hate each other, they despise each other. Every time they play each other, they want to kill each other. Plain and simple. And now, do I think Dallas is looking sus right now? No. But of course they did come back to reality a bit last night or a couple nights ago against Philly. And of course the Eagles, obviously they're playing amazing right now, but like I said, I'm going to get to them later on in this video. So moving on to number 5, I got the Kansas City Chiefs, and well, the battle for AFC supremacy took place between them and the Buffalo Bills. And well, the Bills came out on top as we saw Patrick Mahomes. He choked really hard at the end of that game. And yeah, he may be the best quarterback in football if it's not Josh Allen. And Mahomes does not make a lot of mistakes, but on that play where he threw the game-losing pick to Tyron Johnson, he did. And I mean, Johnson just jumped right in front of him, as the Bills would for now seal the top spot for the AFC. Now, obviously, yeah, the Chiefs are still a great team. But, after this loss, it's probably going to take some time for them to recover in order to get back up on their feet and prove themselves again why they are the number 1 team to beat in the AFC and somewhat the entire NFL, and not the Buffalo Bills. Because right now, the Buffalo Bills, for the time being, took the Chiefs spot as the top dog in the AFC. But now, outside of their 2 wins against the Cardinals and the Buccaneers, I don't know. I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs, they haven't looked as convincing as we usually know them to be. But obviously, they're still a great team. I expect them to win the AFC West like they always do. I don't think anybody in the AFC West is gonna come anywhere near them this season. Maybe the Chargers could give them a little bit of a run for their money, but other than that, I do expect the Chiefs to eventually clinch the AFC West late in the season, like always. And of course, as for the seeding, who knows? They could easily meet Buffalo in the playoffs once again for the 3rd straight year. Except this time it won't be in Kansas City. It could very well end up being in Buffalo. And now moving on to number 4, I got the New York Giants. In my opinion, the most surprising team this year, with their 5-1 start. I gotta say, their new head coach Brian Daboll has done a very good job with this team. Daniel Jones has been playing rather solid this season, and now people should probably think otherwise, that they were wrong about Daniel Jones over the past few years. Now, I'm not saying he's been lighting the world on fire, but he has been playing a good part on why the Giants are 5-1 right now. On top of the fact that their defense has been playing pretty good so far this season. And then of course Saquon Barkley. The Giants, they're like Brian Daboll and their personnel. They have found a way to elevate this team. them and Daniel Jones. And to be quite honest, I think the Giants have a very bright future ahead of them and could end up being contenders for years to come. I mean, they've looked much improved on both sides of the ball. And what's crazy is that they're not even the best team in their division. And yet here this team is so far arguably one of the best teams in football right now. Hard to believe, but it's the truth. But now, of course, I mean, this team does still have to further prove themselves, and by that, they now obviously we have yet to see this team like really blow somebody out or at least win a game by like 2 to 3 scores plus. But nonetheless, I really do like the direction that the New York Giants are headed in. They're definitely heading in the right direction, and they have a very bright future ahead of them. And it looks like it's going to stay that way for the next several years if they can keep this up. I mean, their pass rush has been doing very good. Defense has been coming up big in opportunistic situations. This kind of seems like the Giants of old, how they beat the Pew Stick with the Patriots in both of those Super Bowls years and years ago. But now, am I going to call the Giants a Super Bowl contender just yet? No. But they are definitely on a very good pace to make the playoffs. And they could very well be a tough out if they get there, if they can keep up the pace and keep the steam going, as both them and the Jets, both New Jersey/New York teams, look good this year. So then moving on to number 3, I got the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, I gotta say, Justin Jefferson is absolutely balling right now. He is. I mean, this guy, so far this season, he really has looked like the best receiver in football. I mean, this dude is dynamic. And then, of course, we all know what, their running back Dalvin Cook is capable of, as we saw him get the game-sealing touchdown, running 53 yards to make it 24-10 against the Dolphins, which they beat the Dolphins 24-16. But yeah, the Vikings, they are quietly looking like one of the top teams in the game right now. Good defense. Kirk Cousins is playing good enough. All around, they just have a complete enough team. And the way this is looking, for the first time in a few years, it looks like we could see a new division winner in the NFC North, other than the Packers, who look very sus right now, as the Vikings are 2 games ahead of the Packers for first place. And if this keeps up, chances are the Vikings will win the NFC North for the first time in 5 years, going back to 2017, where we all saw the Minneapolis Miracle happen. And when I heard some people say that the Vikings were a sleeper team, so far they look pretty damn right with this team so far. And they are, to say the least, playing really well. And now, moving on to number 2. I got the Buffalo Bills. What can I say? They have the most talented roster in football. Obviously, Josh Allen, top 2 quarterback in the game. Stephon Diggs, great wide receiver. And Gabe Davis has looked nearly just as good. And I, as a Steelers fan, especially know that when he last week absolutely crucified our secondary all game. But this Bills team, the Bills have just come a long way from where they are historically. And as of late, they are the best team in the AFC. And I can understand why everybody would say that they're the best team in the NFL. And talent-wise, they undoubtedly are. They have an amazing offense, great defense, great coaching, great personnel. Like the Bills have almost everything that you can ask for in a contender, literally everything. And and it all started when they got Stephon Diggs to take advantage of the Patriot dynasty ending. And ever since then, the Bills have been a certified Super Bowl contender. And it all starts with Josh Allen. I can't lie. This guy is absolutely fun to watch, and I think everybody not named the Kansas City Chiefs would kill to have them as their quarterback because this guy is just so fun to watch. Because it's like whenever this team is fully healthy, and even when they're injured, it's so hard to find a hole on this Bills team. It really is. The only one that I can possibly think of is that, well, every once in a while around this time of the year, they do tend to have that one really, really bad game where they just completely shit their pants and get blown out. Now, that could happen, but as usual, I think the Bills whenever that game comes, and if it does, I think the Bills are just going to bounce back from it like they have for the last few years. And let's also not forget, their offense performed the first perfect offensive game in NFL history against the Pew Stinking Patriots in the playoffs. And I, as a Steelers fan slash Pats hater, loved it. But seriously, but for real, this Bills team is super dangerous, and I don't know who's gonna stop them. Truth be told, if Kansas City does not beat them in the playoffs, the Bills are going to the Super Bowl. No doubt about it. And now, finally, moving on to number one. I got the Philadelphia Eagles. The last undefeated team left in the NFL, standing at 6-0. I mean, this team, so far, they have been also a big surprise. Now, I expected them to be good, but they're looking even better than I thought they would be. That trade for A.J. Brown was just a brilliant move. It has helped Jalen Hurts develop. And of course, with them utilizing Miles Sanders more often, that's played a big part on why they are the only undefeated team left in the game, and record-wise, the best team in football. And the way the Eagles are, and the way this is going, with how dynamic their offenses has been playing, and of course their defense, with first round pick Jordan Davis. This team, they look like they could win 12 to 13 games this year. And looking at their up and coming schedule, I honestly don't know. I can't name a whole lot of teams at all that I could really see beating them. Now, obviously, yes, they're gonna lose eventually because it's pretty. It's too hard to finish a season undefeated. Unless, of course, you are the 72 Dolphins, but that was just out. But of course, that's just a once in a lifetime thing, a once in a forever kind of thing. But yeah, this Eagles team looks absolutely amazing so far this season. Not only are they on pace to win their division, but they look like they could host a playoff game in the divisional round. And they look like they could even get to the NFC Championship game / Super Bowl for the first time in 5 years, where they beat the Pew Stinking Patriots 41-33. So yeah, truth be told, this is an amazing team right now. Great offense, great defense. The only teams on their schedule that I could really name that could maybe beat them, I could maybe see the Giants stealing a game from them because the Giants are looking great too, and perhaps the Cowboys could split the series with them, and and maybe they suffer an upset loss or two besides those two teams on their schedule. But other than the Eagles and Cowboys, I'm sorry, the Giants and Cowboys, I just don't see a whole lot of teams that can beat the Philadelphia Eagles at all right now. I mean, that's just how great they look. And they definitely look like a legitimate Super Bowl contender. So, that'll pretty much do it for my first ever Power Rankings video. I've never done this before. I mean, it takes a lot of time for me to think, to get my thoughts together on, to put who from bottom to top. But this is my list, my top 7 list. I would love to put together an entire list of all 32 NFL teams, but that just, by my standards, takes way too much time. So there it is. 7 Jets, 6 Cowboys, 5 Chiefs, 4 Giants, 3 Vikings, 2 Bills, and number 1 Eagles. I am out.